SMU game. From the opening drive in the first half, we went 8 plays, about 35 yards. We took a sack and a fumble. SMU had the momentum, and we never did change that in the first half. They reeled off 31 points. We were only 3 of 9 on third down in the first half. Their quarterback, 15 out of 17, hot. Well, we tried to change up coverages, zone. We tried to blitz there. They picked that up. They did a nice job. Give them credit. And then their tailback, who we knew we had to stop, went over 100 yards in the first half, 105. Looking at the tape, we needed to play with more emotion, more enthusiasm. They were playing hard, but they weren't playing to the level they had the previous 2 weeks. And the momentum, we never made a play in the first half to change that momentum. And at halftime, I thought, Steve Stanner and the defensive staff did a great job with the players. Greg Davis and the offensive staff, they didn't alter or wholesale the game plan. They were calm and working and talking to the players and just challenged them at halftime. We have more pride, we have more character than what was displayed today. If you have a heartbeat, go out and respond in the second half. And told them that every down, every series, you're going to have to fight. Not literally, but you're going to have to fight and compete. And we took some punches, we took some blows, and they gave it to us the first half. But the team came out in the second half, and it was good to see. There was concern there. With the half being the way it was previously, what would the second half be? And a big play to start the second half was when Desmond had the strip and Dominic scored. It ignited us on the sidelines. Every coach, every player, you could feel the enthusiasm. It felt like we were going to be able to come back. We had an advantage. We had the wind in the third quarter. They were against the wind. The turnover certainly helped. Special teams, as I said earlier, for the second week in a row, a solid performance by the special teams. They did a great job with field position. We were able to make some plays. Wilson Van Heuser, Xavier Rush, and Justin Shackelford, they stepped up for us that they hadn't made plays the previous week or two. And we were able to score 24 points in the third quarter. They did answer with a big drive there in the third quarter. And we were able to cut it twice in the second half to a 14-point game. And one crucial series was with 12 minutes to go on 4th and 4, where we have an opportunity to cut it to a one-score game and make things really interesting. Ryan scrambled, tried to get the first down, and it was a fumble. He didn't have the yardage to get the first down, and it was a fumble. The referee said during the timeout they were reviewing it, and after the timeout, he said you can call the timeout and review it, but it's been reviewed, and it was. I saw the replay. So that was a big turning point, I think, in the fourth quarter as far as momentum went. And then SMU pinned us at the 3. It's still a 2-score game, and we weren't able to come out of there. We weren't able to convert and make it to where, as a 1-score, anything could happen from there. And they were able to punch it in the fourth. They were aided by some personal foul penalties and made it the 3-score outcome that it was. Any questions or comments concerning last week's game? Good. Let's move on to what everybody's here for. Speed, speed, and more speed. How about that for your opening statement? They're exciting. I love to watch them on TV. I do not like to watch them when they're across the sideline from me. They're an exciting offense, have one of the top college players in the country, and Keenum, the quarterback, has shattered most of the records and has the other ones in sight. You have all of those in front of you. And, they're so explosive. 3 receivers, over 600 yards on the year. They can take the bubble screen, they can take the little toss reverse, and can go the distance at any time. And their tailbacks, again, outstanding speed. That's what they have there, and explosive. They snap the ball anywhere from 14 to 15 seconds after it's down. They lead the conference in the least amount of time of possession with 25 minutes a game. It doesn't matter to them if you hold the ball. They just want it back. I think the last time they were held under 50 points was September 29th versus UTEP. They scored 49 that game. So a big challenge ahead defensively. Talk about special teams. Carriers are their kick returner. Edwards is their punt returner. So just as explosive they are on offense, the same there with even more field to defend. So defensively it'll be a challenge. Offensively, special teams will be a challenge. Offensively, with an offense like that are averaging over 50 points a game, over 600 yards a game, and then if you look at their conference statistics, they're almost 60 points a game in the conference and almost 650 yards a game. So they have dominated conference opponents. Certainly a big game for them. They won't overlook us. Their opportunity to BCS, their opportunity to stay undefeated and to move up. And national TV, they're on the spotlight. Talking about their defense, with the offense the way they are, they're able to take chances. They lead the conference in sacks. Number 8, second in the conference in sacks, first in the conference in tackles for loss. I think he has 21 and a half tackles for loss. A very aggressive player and a good athlete. So based on their offense and the way they play, they're able to take more chances on defense. Yes, they'll give up a play or two, and they have over the year. That's why their statistics aren't as good, but they will also make plays for their offense. But you have the names there, you know, Carrier, Edwards, Johnson, the 3 receivers, and they make it go along with the quarterback. And, you know, teams have tried to pressure him. They lead the conference in fewest sacks allowed. They've given up 9 on the year. He does a great job of getting rid of the football. They do a good job of protecting him. They understand hot sites, and the ball is out quickly. Any other thoughts or comments from you guys on Houston? Your first question in 3 weeks. Good, Ed.
Thank you, Coach. I appreciate that. Very thorough of you in your preparation.
I had a note down here.
Very good. 9 against Rice.
He did.
Are you worried about him having that kind of game against you?
I am. I haven't looked up the national records, but we are concerned about that. And you know, we had a great game against UAB as a team. This will take an even better game. It'll take a phenomenal effort in all 3 phases. It'll take some help from Houston's part. They're going to have to help us. The quarterback, you know, obviously he's going to have an off night, which he hasn't had this year. And then special teams, you know, not only can they be sound in this game, but for us to pull an upset, for us to even remain close based on their scores and the previous games looking at, they're going to have to do something in a productive way to make plays. And then offensively, you know, and to equate it to basketball, they're shooting 3-pointers to our 2s. And they just keep scoring, they just keep ringing the bell. And, you know, field goals, punts aren't going to make that happen. I think the UTEP game, I'd have to look at it, Roger, they had their most punts on the year. They had 4 punts in the UTEP game. I think their punter, gosh, has 26 opportunities on the year. He may not let her. I don't know what their criteria is, but he doesn't go on the field. It just doesn't happen as much. So, a nice problem to have when your punter doesn't play enough to let her. Or he's a great punter. He hangs it up, pins it down, but just doesn't get the opportunity. It's a good problem.
What about him? What is it about him? What is he about? Why does he have all of this?
Well, he's an outstanding athlete, you know, college quarterback. He reads the field so well. He understands the coverages. He identifies whether you try to disguise or not. And in the system they run, he knows where to go with the ball. He doesn't hold it long at all, and it's out. They throw a large number of drive routes, crossing routes, intermediate routes. And if you try to defend them, similar to what we talked about SMU, they have those 2 tailbacks, outstanding players for them. And whether it's in the zone or the draw game, they throw it to them in the screen game. So those things. Keenum is a great college player, and he's surrounded by a fine cast that just contribute to it, and their style of play. There's just so high pressure, you don't get time to catch your breath on defense because they're right there at the line of scrimmage, and they're snapping it before you can even get the signal sometimes. And you've seen teams on film. We're working hard this week in practice to simulate the speed that we're going to see, but it's hard to do with a scout team holding up cards. And it's not as game-like as they are. The only other team close to them is Oklahoma when you see the style of play, and then Oregon would be the next.
Coach, you briefly mentioned the turnover issue. They're only giving up a little over 1 turnover a game. It looks like they're +7 in turnover margin as well. So beyond just Keenum, we're talking about defense as well. That's pretty successful for a team that plays this kind of
Sure.
game. So I want to
Well, I touched on it a little bit with their defense, being able to take chances, being able to pressure you, to be able to blitz you more, and not even blitz. They can still get pressure with just a four-man rush. But you know, they run a 3-4 scheme similar to the past 2 weeks that we've seen. 55 McGraw is their leading tackler, outstanding player. Their corners, they're able to lock down, play man, and just the offense, the explosiveness of the offense allows them to pressure you. And along the lines of those turnovers, teams have been close early, and then breaks in the kicking game, breaks on offense, allow that to separate. And then offenses press, you know, they try to push the ball, they try to make something happen, and that plays into the defense's hands, and that allows for more turnovers.
It's obviously been a long season. Do you see this game going up against a ranked opponent, getting a TV game Thursday night? Is this an opportunity of sorts for you guys to maybe rally back around and play kind of a one-game season and really make a statement? And I mean, you played Houston really close for a half 2 years ago. Last year, you had a chance to take the lead.
We did. We played them last year. It was a close game in Houston. They did not have their starting quarterback. They had a young quarterback, and you know, he was feeling his way. And whether the team, confidence-wise, however you want to view that, we caught him at the right time last year. As far as a one-game season, not so much a one-game season. This is an opportunity for us. We're on national TV on Thursday night. We're a decided underdog, if you will. But it's an opportunity for our young men, for our coaches, to go out and do the sport we love, do the sport that we were hired to do as coaches, and make it a competitive game. Make it a situation where we can keep the TV viewers in. We can keep it close in the fourth quarter, which hasn't happened this year. You know, they've been ahead of most teams in the fourth quarter going away. So it's challenging Thursday night, but you know, every week's been challenging so far.
I know this is the last time in the season. You want to kind of send the right kind of message to your fans to continue to diversity and also membership. You address that, and secondly, what address that?
Well, it's our last home game. Our seniors, it's the last time they'll go out. They'll go out with their parents and guardians, and you know, it's a chance for them. Last home game in the Superdome, and they'll remember it the rest of their careers. They'll remember coming out with their teammates. I know I remember mine against Missouri. I was so glad to have my parents there. And now as a parent, it probably means more to me having children. It was more for them than sometimes the players. But that's an inspiration for our seniors, just to go out and, if they're starters, if they're part-time players, just contribute and do the best they can their last home opportunity. For us, last home games, a lot of uncertainty here. Which way is the program headed? What's going to happen? Those are things out of our control. These are out of our young men's control, and to an extent they're out of our coaching staff's control. When you mention next year, who knows what the future holds? I know we're going to be at our last home game on Thursday. We've had a good week of preparation, and I look for these young men to come out and compete the way you did the first 2 games and the way you did the second half versus SMU.
With 3 games as head coach this upcoming weekend, what have you learned in those 3 games that you didn't quite necessarily know as an assistant coach for yourself?
I didn't know how busy Bob Toledo was, and the week schedule that he had to take care of and do. This team, whenever there's crisis, and we've talked about that, you know, I think it was, October 18th, that Tuesday, they've come together. They've come stronger together, a bond. And those things happen. You either separate, you fragment, and I was concerned, as most people, the first half at SMU. You know, what direction were we going? But to use the word inspired, motivated by how they came out the second half, I think, one, they showed. They still care. You know, I use the word heartbeat. They still have a heartbeat, and they want to play like we talked about. For whatever reason motivates them to put on that gear with all their goals not obtainable, to go compete and be the best student athlete they can be.
Coach, when the season started, can you ever imagine being in this situation? I mean, it seems kind of surreal after all the optimism during the spring and the summer, and we got off to a decent start.
Sure did.
Just kind of sum it all up.
I think it's happened, however many years I've been coaching, over 20 years. You go through spring practice, you go through the summer, and that optimism builds, going, wow, we have a chance. We can do it. And I think that's what keeps us all in coaching. You see some burn out, you see some that don't make it. Their candles blown out, if you will, from everything that transpires. But we were optimistic when the season started. You know, I think you look at key injuries and you have to take those into account. There will be several crises throughout the year, but certainly not the head coach resigning with 6 games to go in the season. Losing Ryan Grant, who we were building offensively as a go-to guy. And, you know, over the course of time, having some other injuries at the receiver position and, you know, seeing those 3 youngsters, and Wilson not being one of them, but the other 2 step up Saturday, you know, shows that, gosh, we're 10 games into it. They're almost sophomores now. It's time for them to. But I guess to answer your question, Ed, no, did not see any of this coming, and certainly expected a better outcome this year and a better record, better performance than what we've had at this time.
Any more questions?